gonna give you 5 basic steps that are gonna help you get rid of those shin splints. The first, they're called rockers. Rockers are simply rocking into dorsiflexion, flexing those shins, and then into plantar flexion, raising your heels off the ground, flexing those calves. This is gonna help get your calves and shins warmed up. They work together. And we obviously want to get our muscles warm before we stretch, which are the last 2 aspects of this kind of 5-step program to get rid of your shin splints. The next exercise, I call these rotators. You're simply rotating in clockwise and counterclockwise direction, making sure you're getting a full extension and flexion of that ankle joint. That's going to help you get your shins nice and warmed up. The third thing is called sprinters. Sprinters help you to work your hips and work your knees, as well as get those shins and calves warmed up. One thing to note, the foot that's on the ground is actually working some stabilizing aspects of the warm-up, and the foot that is going back and forth, or the leg that's going back and forth, you have to note that whenever it's extended back, whenever your hip is extended back, your toes are pointing towards the floor. They're in plantar flexion. Then whenever you're bringing your foot up and forward, your toes are pointed up in dorsiflexion, all while the foot on the floor and your ankle joint on the floor is stabilizing. So those two work together. Make sure you're watching the toes and my ankle joint on this part of the exercise. The last 2 parts of this are the stretching portions. Stretching is extremely important, but you can't stretch without getting your muscles warm. That's why we went over the rockers, why we went over the rotators, and why we went over the sprinters. Now we have a simple calf stretch. This can be done on the ground, as you see here, in kind of like a push-up position, where you are trying to stretch that calf by pointing your heel outward, or you can do it by pushing against a wall, where you just put your hands on the wall and press and bring that one hip forward, one hip back, and trying to stretch that calf. Your calves, shins, knees, hips, they all work together. And if one thing is out of balance, something else is overworking to compensate. So we want to try to avoid that by getting warm and getting stretched out. All right, the last and most important part of this is actually stretching your shins. I hear of a lot of exercise shin maintenance programs where they are talking about doing like ABCs and all these exercises on your actual shins. The issue is whenever you work those muscles and don't stretch them out, they just tighten back up. So we need to spend several minutes after we do these exercises for our shins and warm them up, actually stretching our shins. That's where you're gonna feel the biggest difference. You'll see here I lay out a mat and I roll up another mat. That other mat is to prop my ankles up and really stretch out my shins. My ankles should be not uncomfortable, but kind of in a pretty extreme plantar flex position. You're gonna feel a stretch, not only in your ankle and maybe a little bit in your knee, but definitely in your shin. You can continue to prop up more things underneath your ankle, and you'll notice if I scoot the mat towards my actual toes, that's going to cause me to get more of a stretch in my lower shin. If I scoot it more towards like my lower shin and upper ankle joint, that's going to stretch more of my knees and my quads. And what's nice is I can do different parts of this. I can do a 30-second or 1-minute hold near my toes. I can move the mat in the middle of my ankle joint. I can move it up to my shin. And now you're stretching that whole front part of your leg, which is essentially going to help relieve some of that pain and some of the strain on the front of that shin. It's really important with all of these that you just keep up with it. You're consistently doing it. I was a coach at Vernon Hills High School in like the Northern Illinois area. We had several distance runners and really all my pole vaulters who were running in the hallways at the school at the beginning of the season. Probably the case with a lot of the track teams and people that are watching these videos. That develops shin splints. And if you keep up with these 5 steps and you do them consistently, 2, 3, 4 days a week, I would do them every day. My pole vaulters would do them just about every single day, Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends for some maintenance. This helped them to get rid of that pain, get rid of that really stressed feeling on the front of their legs. And whenever it came January, February, or whenever the track season started, we were able to really hit some bigger poles not worrying about, oh, my shins hurt, because we had already put the work in beforehand to avoid that.